Hey everybody, Dan here with Pain Free You. Today I wanted to talk about wisdom. What the heck is that? So I'll cover that and obviously make it apply to TMS, perceived danger pain, the mind-body space. But hopefully also talk about emotional wisdom as it's all related. So I'm going to enjoy a couple of nice breaths. Getting out into the outside. It's been really hot and it's finally starting to cool down. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon. I don't know if you can hear it. I think that's a hawk that's overhead screeching. When I first walked out, it screamed a couple of times. Not sure if it liked my presence. Let's breathe in the nature. Exhale the indoors. Breathe in the clarity and the calm. Exhale the uncertainty and the chaos. All right. So wisdom. What the heck are we talking about? Well, first of all, WTF. Yeah, the shirt says for where's the fish? Not the curse words. But it could apply to that as well. So, wisdom. You know, we have a lot of knowledge, a lot of book knowledge about TMS, things we've learned from podcasts, YouTube videos. We've got a lot of experiences in life, you know, anywhere from, getting yelled at as a kid, possibly being, spanked or even abused, relationship challenges over the years, ups and downs. We've got a whole bunch of life experiences. And in many cases, those experiences in life have a tendency to stick with us. And I don't love the word triggered, but can trigger us in the current day and age when something similar pops up. So old traumas can kind of resurface and kind of show up, and we react emotionally to those triggered events. And we might not even remember what's going on, but we find we react certain ways in the moment without really understanding why. Because again, some of these old experiences, these life experiences, can kind of stick with us, and for logical, rational reasons. I mean, they were not fun. They kind of shaped who we are. So where the heck does wisdom fit into this? So I'm going to talk about it from an emotional standpoint first, and I'll loop back over to TMS and what we can use this for practically in helping to eliminate our pain or symptoms. But emotional wisdom is, in my opinion, when we can remember a past experience without the emotional charge, right? So how the heck do you get there? Well, in my opinion, the wisdom comes from finding the message or the lesson from that experience. I knew that was going to happen. So wisdom emotionally comes from being able to remember a past experience without the emotional charge. And for a lot of people, that's very, very difficult to do, because every time they think about this bad thing that happened, they get emotional again. So I believe it is possible to be able to remember past events, some very traumatic, without having to get triggered with the emotional charge when we look for the lesson from that situation. Now, some people are going to say, Dan, I was abused, there is no lesson. What am I supposed to learn from that? The bad stuff happens to me. It's one way to look at it. Or the lesson could be as simple as, yeah, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, not my fault, and this had nothing to do with me. If there was an abuser in your past, it has everything to do with them. And perhaps how damaged they are as a person, that they're willing to abuse us as either children or even adults. So when you recognize the lesson which says, not my fault, you can let go of the emotional charge. You can remember back to the event, and as horrible as it may have been, be able to get to the place where you say, not my fault. Now, where's the lesson or the wisdom that comes out of those things? Well, when we let go of the emotional charge and we get the lesson that it wasn't my fault, we can still take some responsibility and say, but I learned some things. I will be much more wise and look out for red flags that might lead me to end up in those situations again. So the wisdom and the knowledge and the lesson you learned, aka the red flags, or not even that, but just the wisdom that it had nothing to do with you, is what will keep you safe moving forward from those situations repeating themselves. So you don't actually need the emotional charge to keep you safe. The lesson is what keeps you safe. So here's a real simple example. Imagine there's a kid playing ball in their driveway, and the ball bounces into the street, and they go running out into the street to chase the ball. And big pickup truck almost runs them over, but stops a foot away. And so, of course, the parents come running out of the house screaming, "Oh my God, what are you doing? You shouldn't be going out into the street. You're grounded." And so, of course, very traumatic experience for everybody involved. So let me ask you this. Does that child need to stay afraid of trucks for the rest of their life to stay safe? No. They can let go of the scary emotional charge of the event and get the lesson, which is, hey, don't play in traffic. Don't chase a ball into the street without looking both ways, twice. The lesson is what keeps you safe, not being afraid of trucks or being afraid of streets or being afraid of any type of traffic. The knowledge that we have to be careful and look both ways, maybe even a couple of times before proceeding, is what will keep us safe. So you can probably think back to some traumatic events in your life, hopefully look for the lesson, which you can hold on to keep you safe from it happening again, like relationship stuff. Yeah, I'm going to be aware of those red flags, and I'm not going to fall into that situation again. So I don't need to hold on to the emotional energy or charge from that original event any longer. Now, does this work first time you try it? No, but when you remind yourself that, hey, I'm not going to make that mistake, and if it wasn't a mistake, I'm not going to put myself in that situation again, you've now taken this emotionally very difficult situation and converted that into wisdom. So that's emotional wisdom in my mind. It's learning, getting the lesson from a previous emotionally charged event, hanging on to the lesson so you can let go of the emotional charge, right? The lesson will keep you safe. So how the heck does this apply to my typical topic, which is chronic pain, chronic symptoms, TMS, PDP, right? How does it apply to that? Well, if we're paying attention, we can learn from our experiences so that we can take that knowledge that we've gained and make subtle shifts throughout this journey, and over time end up in a better place. So the thing I'm going to really encourage you to do is notice if you happen to be in a very fearful state and your thinking is going offline and you're thinking catastrophically, what's the lesson to be learned from that? Well, generally, if you observe what happened the last time your thinking kind of went off the rails and you observe that, what's the lesson? It wasn't an effective strategy. It didn't really help me out. As a matter of fact, it made my thinking spiral faster. It made my emotions of fear get higher. And generally, it's going to fire up the symptoms as well. So paying attention to what's going on and what works and what doesn't work is where we get wisdom in the mind-body space. So it's really important to notice if you're really spiraling and in a bad place. Notice what you've been doing and make a note mentally. How have I been responding to symptoms? How have I been thinking about them? What emotions have I had around them? What have I been doing physically to either extend my, adventuring out or avoiding? What have I been doing? And what kind of results have I gotten? And by taking that awareness and getting the lessons from each of these daily moment-by-moment experiences, you're going to start to get wisdom to take this knowledge of TMS, this perceived danger pain, and all the stuff that Dan talks about in these daily videos, and you're going to notice implementing things. Well, that seemed to work. Ooh, that didn't go so well, right? And you will notice a consistent theme that when you are able to respond to your symptoms and situation in a more calm and reassuring manner, the brain responds accordingly. At minimum, you're going to feel better mentally and emotionally about your situation. But ideally, you may even get to the point where your brain starts to dial down some symptoms. They start to fade away a little bit. And so the wisdom here is really gained from observation and getting the lesson. I really hope this makes sense. I wanted to talk about the emotional stuff first because many of us in this perceived danger, stress-based, illness world, TMS world, may have a highly sensitive system and brain because of some of these emotional experiences that we've had. So sometimes it might be useful, instead of journaling about and writing about the same old thing and rehashing these emotions and generating them over and over and over again, if you're going to do it one more time, but get the lesson. And sometimes the lesson is, this had nothing to do with me. It was this person, that person, overbearing parents, abusive parents, siblings, family members, whatever it may be. The lesson is, not my fault, so I can let the emotional charge go. I'm not saying you got to love these people if in fact they've done you wrong. It's a whole nother topic. We're not going to get into that. I'm not going to let myself, go off into that tangent. But the point is, emotionally get the lessons so you can let the charge go. Then you'll have the emotional wisdom to know that moving forward, if a certain situation happens again, it may not trigger you quite as quickly or as severely, and that's when you know you've got the wisdom. So apply that to the TMS mind-body world and observe the response in your brain, your emotions, your thoughts, your physical sensations to your various responses to your situation and symptoms. Because again, what you're going to notice consistently is the more calmly I can reassure myself and the less I go into, that catastrophic thinking freak-out zone, the better off I do. Keep in mind, and I did this in yesterday's video, I talk about this all the time, how important clarity is. Because it's really hard to observe what's going on and get the lesson from our responses and how symptoms and thoughts and emotions respond to our situations if in fact you're still confused or doubtful as to whether or not you've got this thing called TMS or perceived danger pain. So look back at yesterday's video, look for that one, gain that clarity because that's your foundation, and from there we can start to look at our experiences, gain the wisdom so that we can make better choices in how we respond moving forward. And it's a learning process. This is a teaching process. You're teaching the subconscious brain. We are learning how this works and how to apply it in our day-to-day lives. We're going to start extending our willingness to go out and do more things, and things might go sideways, and if we get really upset by that, observe how quickly the symptoms have resolved, or observe whether or not things continue to escalate. These are all learning opportunities. So, I want you guys all to, guys and gals, I want you all to feel like you're taking the educational stuff and through observation and choosing your responses to your situations, you're turning that knowledge into wisdom. And the wisdom is where you truly take it upon yourself so you can change your behaviors, change your responses, change your outlook, start to see hope, start to gain some confidence and momentum. So hopefully you guys and gals found this helpful. And yeah, I think that's all I've got for you today. Love you, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care.